And once there was a Chassidic Jew. This is in the time of like 200 years ago, in the time of Elimelech of Lizinsk, 250 years ago. And he was a big businessman, and he heard about a big business deal, a big amazing business deal, that there was this jeweler that had all these precious jewels. It was a private thing. He heard about it through his own personal grapevine, and he was getting old, whatever, and he wanted to liquidate all of his assets, and he was willing to sell his jewels and everything like that for a very ridiculously low price. He needed the money, whatever the cause was. It was like $3 million worth of jewels he was going to sell for $1 million. And he had this rich man, we'll call him Mr. Groys. Mr. Groys, he had friends that went, they checked it out, and the gems were genuine, and he said, you have to get them before anybody else does. And he said that he'll even be willing to wait for a few days for Mr. Groys to arrive because he likes them. He goes, so Mr. Groys, he sold what things he had, and he gathered all of his money together, all of his money to go. But before he went to Rav Elimelech of Lezhinsk. No, he went to Rav Zusha Manipoli. And Rav Zusha Manipoli said that he shouldn't go. It's not a good idea. He shouldn't go. Just 1 second. 1 minute. Yeah. There were two brothers, Zusha Manipoli and Rav Elimelech was Lezins. They lived in different towns, but they were brothers. They were both holy. Rav Zusha Manipoli, he has the approbation in the beginning of the Tanya, right? So Zusha Manipoli said, "Don't go. I'm telling you, don't go. It's not going to be good. You're going to lose everything." So he said, "But I checked it out. I didn't." So he said, "That's it. Don't go." So he went back home to his wife, and his wife said, "Bon voyage, have a good day." He said, "I'm not going." So why aren't you going? Because I went to Rav Zusha Manipoli, told me not to go. He said, "Did you explain to him everything about the what?" He said, "Yeah, I explained it to him. You have friends, you had trusted friends. I said it's a good deal. It's a good deal. I told him everything. He said I shouldn't go." So his wife said, "Well, that's ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. I mean, it's a sure thing. It's a short journey over there, and there's no danger on the way. And you checked it out in every possible way." He said, "But what can I do? The Rebbe told me not to go." She said, "Well, I think you should go to his brother, Rav Elimelech, and ask him." He said, "I can't do a thing like that. I can't do it. I already went to Rabbi Zusha, and he's a holy man, and what he said is true. He's not saying it from his own, opinion. He's saying something true. He sees some reason. He's a holy man. This is not just a good businessman." His wife said, "Listen, I'm telling you what to do. You go to his brother and you tell his brother, Rav Elimelech, that you were already by Rav Zusha, and Rav Zusha told you not to go, and ask his advice. Tell him that your wife is driving you crazy. I'm telling you, you have to go. We're losing a fortune." So he said, "Okay." So we went to Rav Elimelech, and he was all shamefacedly said, and then he was humble. He said, "Listen, I'm Rav Elimelech. Please forgive me. I went to your brother, and I asked him something, and he gave me an answer, and my wife told me to ignore the answer and to come to you." He said, "What was it?" He said, "I have this business deal, and etc. And I have to, and it's a sure thing, and I checked it out, and my wife says that I should go. Everyone says I should go. Reb, your brother says I shouldn't go. And my wife is pestering me. I want to do what your brother says, and please don't get angry at me." And so Rabbi Elimelech says, "My brother said you shouldn't go, and you're coming to ask me what I should do?" He said, "Yes, please. It's my wife. What can I do?" Rabbi Elimelech said, "Well, I think you should go. I think you should go." He said, "Really? You think I should go? But your brother?" He said, "My brother saw up to the river. I see after the river." He said, "What does that mean?" He said, "Tell your wife. My brother saw up to the river. I see after the river." He said, "Just one more thing." Rabbi Elimelech said to this Mr. Groys, "You're a mohel, right? A circumciser. You know how to do circumcision?" "Yes." He said, "Well, I want to show you a special powder that you can make that stops all bleeding." I want to show you this before you go. All right. So, okay, you want to, sure, I would be very happy to see, because sometimes, it's a very, if a child starts bleeding, it's very dangerous, This is, it's just household things. You take, this amount of sugar and this amount of pepper and this amount of this and this, and you mix them all together and then you put it this way. And he told him, you remember what to do? And he said, yeah, I remember what to do. Repeat it to me. He repeats it. Good. Goes back home to his wife. What did she say? Rav Elimelech said, I should go. She said, you should go? But what did he say about Reb Zusha? He said, Reb Zusha saw it up to the river, and I see after the river. His wife said, what does that mean? He said, I don't know. I have no idea what it means. But he told me to go, so I'll go. So he gets all of the money together. He had this $1 million, whatever. He sold things. He borrowed money. And he puts in a pouch around him. Something. He's got a gun, also a gun that in case there's any trouble, he can this. And he goes to the place where this other person that wants to sell the jewels, he has to go over this sort of river. To go over the river is placid, it's beautiful, it's calm, beautiful day. And he gets on the river. It's already starting nightfall, but it's warm. It's a warm. And they're on this boat going over it's like a barge going over the river. And all of a sudden, from nowhere, it gets cold and winds start blowing and just almost hurricane force winds. The captain says, I don't know what to do. We can't go back. We have to throw things over. They're throwing things over the side of the, and suddenly the boat hits a rock or something and it sinks. It sinks in the river, and our hero, Mr. Groyce, he grabs onto a box or something that's floating, and the box has a handle on it, and he holds onto it. And the river is the current of the river is so strong, the box gets stuck on something, so it stops, and the river rips all of his clothes off him. It's already the middle of the night, and somehow or other he manages to pull himself ashore. There was a big tree that fell down. That tree. Now he's on the shore. It's freezing cold. The wind is blowing. He's bare naked. He has absolutely nothing. He doesn't know what to do. If he stays out any longer, he's going to freeze to death. He doesn't know what. He sees a house in the distance. He runs to the house and he knocks on the door and he says, please just throw me a blanket. You don't have to let me in. Just throw me a blanket, please. A little hole opens up in the door, and the man, suddenly the door opens up a little bit, and he says, a Jew? He says, yeah, I'm a Jew. I'm freezing. Please come in. He comes in. He wraps him in a blanket. He faints. The man says, after about half an hour, he wakes up. He realizes what happens. He says, you're alive. He says, I'm alive. It's a miracle. I'm alive. He said, wait, but I lost everything. I lost all my money. And I owe money to people. And I should have listened to Reb Zusha. I said, Reb Zusha. And he says, the man that says, listen, calm down, please, calm down. Drink some hot tea. He says, don't worry about it. Tell him, at least you're alive, right? It's a big miracle that you're alive. And don't worry, God is big. He said, what do you mean? Who's this Reb Zusha? He says, Reb Zusha Manipoli. He says, Reb Zusha Manipoli. Yeah. He says, yeah. He says, he's a brother, Rav Elimelech. He said, yeah. He's a brother, Rav Elimelech. Sure. He was the one who told me to go. I don't know why he told me. He said, tell me something. This Rabbi Elimelech, he's a big tzaddik, isn't he? He's a big holy person, isn't he? Yes. He said, listen, I have a big problem. Maybe you could do me a favor and ask him. He said, I have 3 sons. And one son we made a circumcision on, and he bled to death. It seems he has hemophilia or something. He bled to death. And I don't know what to do. I have one son that's 9 years old, another son that's 10 years old, and I can't make a circumcision on them. And I don't, I really want to, but I don't. Maybe he can help. Maybe all of a sudden he remembers, 1 second, he gave me a special thing that I can stop any bleeding. Really? He says, yeah, I'll show you how to make it. They said he remembers exactly how to make it. He says, how do I know it works? He says, well, let's see. He cuts his finger. He puts a little on his finger, stops the bleeding immediately. He cuts the child's finger, puts it on the finger, stops the bleeding. He says, listen, maybe it'll work. We have to get a mohel, a circumcised. He says, I'm also a mohel. I don't know do how to circumcisions. So they brought people together. He made this special powder. And the next day, early in the morning, they brought people together. and he made the circumcision. Everyone was praying, and he put this powder on and it stopped the bleeding. And they brought the second son, the one that was older. They made the circumcision and stopped the bleeding. The man was so happy. You saved me. You saved it. He said, tell me, you said that when the ship sank, you lost all your money. He says, yes, but it's from God and God will help. How much money did you lose? He said, I lost $1 million. Ooh, $1 million, that's a lot of money. $1 million, that's a lot. How much money did you stand to make a profit from? He says, those jewels were worth $3 million. The man is waiting for me now. They're worth $3 million. But he's not going to give it to me unless I give him cash. I have to give him cash. And for sure, somebody's going to buy it the next day. I mean, everybody's going to. The man said, listen, I'm giving you $10 million. You saved my two sons. You helped me out. Now he realized what Rav Elimelech said. My brother sees up to the river, but I see after the river. And there were sometimes the worst things that happen to us end up being the best things. But we have to be attached to a tzaddik. In our generation, it's the Rebbe. And being attached genuinely, we see all the terrible things that are happening now, which are really pretty terrible. Somehow or other, it's all going to be for the good, and we'll all rejoice together with a tremendous benefit, with riches, spiritual, physical, health, wealth, children, happiness with Mashiach now. Have a good day. See you all tomorrow, God willing, 8:15. Come on time. Shalom.
Looking forward. Thank you. Thanks so much.